Today. I love this segment that I do of agent to agent, where I get to present my friends that I meet in other places and talk to them about what they love about where they live.
I love that. I love that, and I feel so honored that you thought of me. So thank you.
Well, this is awesome. So, for those that don't know, we were both in Vegas at the Keller Williams family reunion this year. I had the privilege of sitting down to a nice dinner with Cheryl and a few other women within our one of our communities, and got to know her a little bit better and a little bit more on a personal level. So, we're going to talk today about Cheryl and living in Las Vegas and selling and all those great things about Las Vegas today.
Sounds fantastic. There's a lot going on here, so I'm happy to share.
You know what's funny is I think nobody really thinks that people live in Las Vegas.
Right.
I think they think it's just that, real people don't
The
live
strip.
there.
Hey, I was one of them. I was one of them before I lived here and moved here. Almost, gosh, it's almost 30 years ago. Actually, this year. And when I was brought out, I was brought out. I was running restaurants for Wolfgang Puck, and I thought I'll give it 2 years max because I was thinking the strip, Wayne Newton. I mean, all the glitzy glamour showgirls. I was like, no way, that's not me
Too
at all.
crazy. Too
Yeah.
crazy.
And 30 years later, I'm still here, and the suburbs are fantastic. And it's a town, it's a city, and all the crazy performers on the strip, they're not crazy, but you know what I mean. They
Yes,
all
yes.
are normal families in suburbs, in, like I said, in the burbs, and that's where we live.
And one year I was out there, and Vegas is not my favorite city to visit. It overstimulates me,
Hmm.
right? It overstimulates me. And yet, so my husband knows that. And so if he wanted to go, he knew he had to take me someplace else. And there is, I mean, the Red Rocks
Oh,
and
beautiful.
beautiful
Yeah,
outside. If you get off the strip for a minute,
it's
Vegas is
fantastic.
beautiful. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
You've got amazing like breweries and museums and like I said, the mountains and all those things. So let's talk a little bit about living in Vegas. Tell me what like a day in the life of a person that lives in Vegas, is it the same as a day in the life of somebody that lives in Dallas?
It would, I think, exactly be the same as the day in the life as someone who lives anywhere. I mean, we're talking, in the middle of Iowa. Most people go to work, whether they work on the strip or they work at like us, we have our offices, but we also are independent contractors. You're still going to work.
Hmm.
And most people, like I said, it's very, very residential, like all of, I mean, we have the soccer moms, we've got the all of that, just like everywhere else. And it was a surprise to me when I moved here as well.
Yeah.
We raised our daughter here. She went to tremendous schools and did all the things just like a regular high school that you wouldn't think of in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
So pretty
I had a
normal.
I had a
Yeah.
client come out here, and he was a corrections officer in one of the jails in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of the thing that he said was, we don't go to Vegas unless somebody
No.
comes to town, and even then we don't want to go to Vegas.
Hey, as much as I wanted to see our 18,000 best friends from Keller Williams last week, when you live here in Las Vegas, I mean, you go every once in a while. Like my husband will every once in a while because I'm a foodie.
Yeah.
He'll take me to a nice restaurant on our anniversary or something like that. But honestly, they've done a really great job with infrastructure here, and there are all the great chefs and restaurants even in the suburbs now. So unless you have people coming in from out of town that really want to be on the strip, we just don't really go there unless, like I said, our best friends are here and we want to meet them. But otherwise,
Yeah.
we're in our own little areas.
Well, and I think that's important. So, as we talk about, and the part of this series that I do is for people like yourself to just talk
Hmm.
about what is great about living where you live and why people might want to consider moving there. And what do they do when they're there? So, because we all have preconceived ideas about what Las Vegas or Los Angeles or Dallas or Charlotte or any other place might be. So I think it's important that people realize that you don't have to go down to the strip to go to Wolfgang Puck.
100%. Yeah, they're kind of everywhere. I think what's interesting about Las Vegas right now is we're getting all of the sports teams. It
Yeah.
started with the Las Vegas Knights, and then we got the Raiders, and now we're about and now we have the Aces that are tremendously great. We're about to get the Oakland A's, which will obviously be the Las Vegas. Who knows if they're going to keep the name?
Yeah.
And we have two very, very prominent basketball, I'll just say mega lords who are really fighting to get the NBA team here. And I'm sure one of the two, I won't name any names, but one of the two will get it. We already kind of know where it's going. It's kind of right behind the convention center. They have a
Yep.
big plot of land already ready. And then the big, big news that's coming in the next couple years is Mark Wahlberg just got approved to make a movie studio here that he's calling Hollywood 2.0. And Sony just announced that they are also going to be doing a movie studio here in the next couple years.
Wow.
So that's
That's
huge. I mean,
huge.
that's tens of thousands of jobs coming
Yes.
here. Not to mention the fact that anybody who is buying right now is fortunate because our prices have already started really elevating. But boy, once that happens with Hollywood
Hmm.
2.0, it's going to get real.
Well,
So,
it's going to change. It'll change the entire environment, right? And that is an industry that just becomes ongoing,
yeah.
right? I mean, it is. I don't even know the right word. I'm blanking on the right word, but it's going to bring in, like you said, the vast numbers of jobs
Yeah.
and those sorts of things. Now, you mentioned the infrastructure at Las
Mhm.
Vegas. So, what do you mean by that? Do you mean, you can get around easily, or what do you mean by that?
Yeah, so I don't know exactly who their I'll just say their structural engineer of the city was, but whoever it was pretty brilliant in that when you think of the strip, and that's what everybody thinks is the
Sure.
strip, that's the nucleus of Las Vegas. From there, they basically built everything out around it. So there's almost nowhere in town, even the farthest north, that is more than 30 minutes away from Las Vegas, the strip. The
Okay.
farthest might be Boulder City and Lake Las Vegas because it's just a little more remote. But even then, I mean everything. If it's unlike places like I lived in Los Angeles for a number of years, and in
Too.
Los Angeles you can go 5 miles and it's 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Here, pretty much everything with all of the great um, intersection. I mean, not intersections. What's the word? Interstates. We have a great beltway now that has really just helped to make our traffic. We still have traffic, but not crazy. Where, like I said, everything is pretty much 30 minutes away, which is nice.
That's nice. That's nice because when you and let's hope that they are prepared for the influx of people that
Yes.
will be moving into the area because I think oftentimes, and I know Austin is a prime example of that. If you've ever driven in Austin, Texas, you don't want to be on 35 at 3 o'clock, 2 o'clock. By 2 o'clock, it's already backed up. And
Yeah.
so I don't know if nobody knew what was going to happen or there was very just poor planning or what happened there, right? But when you get a community or a city like Las Vegas that is growing out and they're planning it so that it's easy to get in and out,
Yeah.
right? I
Yeah.
think that's really vital.
Yeah, and I think they've done a really good job thus far. I think, the fact that all these things are coming in particular, the movie studios, I'm sure they're already in the planning stages because they're going to have to be.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
frankly, that is going to be, I mean, that's kind of city changing right there.
Well, it is. And then again, all the sports teams, which
Mhm.
the conspiracy theory here in Dallas is that your your Vegas sports owners want our team. So that's the conspiracy theory. So we'll see what plays out.
Well, I got to say, it wouldn't totally surprise me, but
Yeah.
I get it. Yep.
So we're a little bitter right now, but that's okay. That's another topic. So tell me a little bit about housing in Las Vegas. What style of house do you feel like I mean, are you mostly single family detached, or are there a lot of condos, townhomes? that sort
You
of thing?
know, both. In fact, it's our our business here, for me anyway, has never been busier. And I have,
Okay.
I am mostly referral based, which is such it's such an honor to be able to
It's
have
a
that.
privilege, right?
It's a privilege for sure. But I just opened an escrow this morning on a condo that I was listing. So there's lots of condos. We're Vegas, so especially
Yeah.
by the strip, and especially with all of the millennials moving here, because we don't have income tax.
Okay.
So it's one of those things that brings people here, both old and young. And with all the millennials, they're building so many townhouses that are kind of that cool, very urban feeling, downtown townhouse feeling. So lots of those going up, and then
Interesting.
single family. Yeah, I mean, we used to be known as the inexpensive place to live, and coming from like Los Angeles or Hawaii, which is where I'm from, we're also considered the ninth island. We're inexpensive to those markets,
Right.
but with people who have lived in Las Vegas, I mean, our prices have gone up exponentially. So, and I see that going forward.
Yeah, and that's trending nationwide, and it's going to particularly affect those areas that have historically been on a lower price point, but now with the things that are coming, you get 3 or 4 sports teams that changes the entire landscape,
Yeah.
right, of what's going on. And so what would you say, and I'm not going to pin you to this because we don't want, because things change, but your average kind of 3-2 house, what kind of price ranges are you running in?
You're running 425 to
Okay.
475. Yeah,
Okay, so you're in
roughly.
the fours.
We're
And
in the
I would
fours.
imagine it's probably a pretty cool place to retire to. Do you see a
Yes.
lot of retirees
Yes,
coming
we
your
have.
way?
Yeah, we've got quite a few really nice, retirements. We've got 3 different Sun Cities. We have Sun City
Okay.
Aliante, Sun City Summerlin, Sun City Anthem, and then we have the oh gosh, now I'm totally forgetting their names. They just came here. Trilogies. We've got 3 different trilogies too. So they're
Wow, that's a lot.
understanding that a lot of seniors are wanting to move here, both for the affordability and the
Yeah.
lack of income tax because they don't tax Social Security.
See, that's a big deal.
It's a big deal.
The older I get, we
Yep.
start looking at,
Yeah.
okay, so how are you going to tax me
Yeah. Yeah.
at
And
the
what I'm
end?
seeing most of, even more than seniors, is I'm seeing so many people that are wanting to not necessarily retire, but they are in getting towards that retirement age from the Northeast. They are
Yeah.
just done with the weather. Whereas it used to be the influx of California coming here. I mean, I would say 40 to 45% of all of my closings last year were people from the Northeast just
Really?
getting out of that weather. Yeah,
Really? That's a lot.
it's a
That
lot.
that's
It's
a
a lot.
lot. So they're not necessarily, maybe they're, I wonder what the that's pulled to the Vegas area versus Florida, right? Because Florida's been getting hit a lot with, hurricanes and the rest of it. I wonder if that's affecting some of that as well.
I have asked that question, and that's what I got was no hurricanes here in Las Vegas. We pretty much don't get anything crazy here. No tornadoes, none of that. And also the humidity. Most of them didn't want to deal with that humidity
Yeah,
in on the East Coast, and we have little to no humidity here. So
interesting. Yeah.
that was kind of, that's what I always ask a lot of questions, so that's what I've kind of gotten.
Well, so now you've hit the seniors, you've hit are coming, the millennials are coming,
Mhm.
so everybody's coming.
It kind of feels that way. I mean, because, there for a while you could really kind of pinpoint who was coming. And you would see, like, the retirees from California was definitely 3, 4 years ago. And then it's kind of changed where I'm dealing with a lot of millennials moving here for jobs because
Mm,
we've got a lot of the large, warehouses here. We've got the Amazon. We've got, a lot of big ones out here. And then you have the people from the Northeast that are like, if I never have to shovel another, driveway again, I'll be okay.
I'll be okay with
So,
that.
yeah, it's kind of been a little bit of a mixed bag.
So you've still got, I mean, and there's still a lot of land there,
Yes,
right? There's
yes.
still a lot of, the here in Dallas, there used to be between what we called far north Dallas to the Oklahoma border was nothing. And now the
Right.
two are about ready. I mean, there's
Mhm.
communities halfway between that you're like, what? People are moving to Van Alstyne? And so, I know you mentioned Boulder City is a little bit further out, and I'm sure people kind of have that same idea that people are moving out to Boulder City,
Yeah.
because in the past it was so far away.
Yeah, well, and we have land here called BLM land, which is the it's the government land. And what I'm seeing every year is they're just releasing a little more and a little more and a little more of the parcels to these master builders. And like there's an area, the big area that I'm really seeing blow up is in the Northwest. And I mean, I will tell you, when I moved here 30 years ago, almost 30 years ago, I mean, that area was like vast, like
Yeah,
nothing. And now you go up there and it's like, it is all built. It's like, and they're breaking ground on new things every day. So every time I
yeah.
drive that area, I'm like, that little piece of land right there is not going to be land in 5 years. I just know it.
No,
And so
that's
there,
when you
I
see
mean,
Costco shows up and you're like, oh, there it goes.
oh yeah, I think we have now five Costco's in town. I mean,
Yeah,
it's 4 or 5. It's like yeah, it's we become. I used to think of us as a quaint little town because you really, especially in the suburbs, kind of knew everybody, and now we're kind of that quaint little big town.
yeah.
So it's changed a lot. Yeah,
So and you also mentioned that people that are buying homes now are getting on the front end
yeah.
of what is potentially going to happen. So talk to that just a little bit, what with all the things happening.
Absolutely. It's funny because I just had this conversation with my daughter recently, who is, in her mid 20s and looking to buy, she's saving to buy a home. And I was like, listen, you need to get on it. You need to be ready because if you wait more than the next couple years, you're going to be paying a ton more for the same exact
Yeah.
house. And I'm seeing it go up right now. It's about 6%
Wow.
every year right now, but I think it's going to go up far more than that in the next couple years, especially when we get that movie studio and we get, I mean, not to, when we get all, movie studios and sports teams bring in a different echelon of buyers, which
Mm-hmm.
drives up prices. So
Well,
it's
all
going to
those
be,
athletes are now going to want athlete houses,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
And movie stars or producers or
right.
those guys, they want
Yeah.
that house.
Yeah, we're looking at multi-million dollar houses,
Yeah.
but that even drives up the smaller houses for
Mm-hmm.
those people that can't quite afford that. So everything is going to go up. And I know it was funny. I was talking to one of my buyers that has been a little bit on the fence, and I was like, listen, I'm not trying to be salesy at all. I'm just telling you like it is. That house that you liked last year for X amount is now $45,000 more this year. So you wait. That's, I mean, I'm again, I'm not gonna, I can't make you do anything.
Yeah, yeah.
But you have to know that every day you wait, the prices are going up.
Well, and I think that's it. And when you look at areas as you consider where you might want to move, right? Whether
Yeah.
you're retiring or you're in your 30s and whatever it is, people move for all kinds of reasons at all kinds of ages. Those are some things you want to look at. You want
Yeah.
to look at, okay, the house that I would buy, in Vegas today, how much is that going to be in 2 years when I decide to move there?
Yeah.
And, do you buy it now and rent it out for 2 years?
That would be
Or
my
what do you do?
recommendation.
I
Yeah.
mean, right? Great time to buy some investment property, perhaps.
Yeah.
That as people start to move out there and start looking for housing, I mean, there's
Yeah,
something
and
to
even
that.
our rentals out here, they are blowing up. They're not inexpensive. So, our property manager and people that are renting things out, they're doing quite well.
They're doing well. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you're not on the strip, and we've talked about it a little bit, but what are the fun things to do? I know you, like you said, you're a foodie, so you like all the nice restaurants and things like that. And I like to scramble on rocks. So go climb up on the rocks. What are fun things to do besides going to the strip and gambling and going to shows that everybody thinks about?
Well, okay. I, like you, we talked about, I'm not a gambler at all. I mean, it just really does nothing for me. So I'm all about the experiences. I love the restaurants. There isn't a celebrity chef out there that pretty much doesn't have a restaurant here. So that's always nice that if you're really hankering to look for something from Giada or something like that, you can go.
Yeah.
I love my husband and I. We have some pups and we love to go hiking. And so we have the Red Rocks and we literally live, I can see the Red Rocks right now from my
Oh,
house.
love
So
that.
we can, we love to go walking and hiking and doing all of that. If you're a skier less than an hour away, we have Lee Canyon, which is right there where, it's not like, we're not talking Colorado skiing, but it's still great skiing. And that's something that most people don't know. And then we just have so many other things. You want to go skydiving, you want to go hot air ballooning, you want to do all of these things. We have quite a bit of outdoor activities that I think people don't realize. Um, I'm a big geek. I think I told you that. I'm a sommelier, but I just call it court dork. I mean, we make wine every year. We make a barrel of wine with friends, and so there is a place called Grape Expectations that does that here, and so there is really such a community of
Yeah.
things to do that you really are not going to get bored here unless you want to be bored, and then you
Yeah.
can stream Netflix all day to your heart's content. But there's
But you
a
can do
lot
that
to do
anywhere, right? You can do
anywhere.
that anywhere. So you talked about, your daughter went to really good schools, and again, we don't think about real people living there, so we don't think about real people raising kids there.
Yeah.
And so, tell me about that, like raising a family and that sort of thing in Las Vegas.
Well, it's funny. I think the probably the weirdest time. I mean, because we're a very close knit family, and if there's something to ask, just ask it. Don't ask your friends. Don't
Yeah.
do that. Just ask me. And I remember there were a couple times that we were driving to meet somebody on the strip, and you'll see those taxi cabs with the very risque things on the
Yes.
taxi cabs. And, those were the times when she was little that we would have those conversations going, well, we live in Las Vegas, and in Las Vegas, there are shows that you will probably never go to, but they're going to,
They exist.
they're going to advertise, and that's okay. When you get out to the burbs, you really don't have a lot of that at all. I mean, we moved where we moved in Summerlin because that's where the really good school districts were at that particular time. There's a lot of new ones now that
Hmm.
there's different areas that have some great school districts where you don't have to go private, but we also have some tremendous private schools here as well. So it was really there are some great places. Again, you're going to need to talk to a realtor and
Yeah.
know where to go, because there are also areas that are not probably the best with public school systems. And so that would be, you definitely have to do your homework. But
Well,
my
yeah,
daughter
and you would have to do that in
graduated
any
straight
city,
A's.
right? You
What's
have to
that?
do that. I said you have to do that in
Well, she
any
did it
city.
anywhere. Yeah, yeah, yeah. She graduated straight A student, got a scholarship to college. I mean, but you've got to do your homework.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's anywhere. So,
Correct.
but again, people have this preconceived idea. I knew that when I moved to Dallas and I left California, I lived in San Francisco before I moved here, and everybody assumed everybody wore cowboy boots and cowboy hats. Now, in Fort Worth, you see it a lot more,
Right,
and you see it
right.
some here in Dallas, but it's not like we're riding our horse to work and tying it up in front of the office
No.
building. So there's preconceived ideas about every city and every environment, but it's important
Yep.
to talk to somebody that is knowledgeable, that's been there, that can understand your needs, your current needs and your future needs,
Yep.
and about how that might play into everything.
Absolutely. I mean, I remember when I first moved here, people were like, "So do you see showgirls just walking around?" And I'm like, "Yeah." In Albertsons, I just see them walking around. I mean, you had to kind of go there, but I mean, people definitely they had that preconceived notion, and I'm like, "No. These girls go
Yes, I
home and they stick
did.
on their sweats, and they're normal people. They're
Yes.
only that when they're at work."
Yes. Yeah. It's like they go home and make meatloaf for their kids.
Right. 100%.
Right? So, So tell me, like what is your favorite thing? And maybe how has that changed 30 years ago from when you moved there to now? What is your favorite thing about Las Vegas?
Well, I think it would be, um, it really is the community. I mean, I have met some of the most amazing people here. And the interesting part about Las Vegas is it's a very small amount of people that are actual locals in Las
Mm,
Vegas. We are truly a melting pot here. And so what I found is like, when we were in the mommy and me classes and all of that, there wasn't that click that sometimes you get in another town where everybody knew everybody
mhm.
from high school and blah, blah, blah. There's really not a lot of that here. So everybody is really, really friendly. They're very, very nice. They're welcoming. And I really got to be honest, I did not expect that when I first
Yeah.
moved here. And it was just, and I find that 30 years ago, and I still find it today.
That, that's good because, we all do tend to move around a lot now,
Mm-hmm.
and often our families aren't, down the street or across town.
Right.
And as a society in the United States, we've become so spread out from from where we started, right?
Yeah.
I started in Dallas as a kid, but we moved around a ton as I was growing up. Then I lived far away in my young adult years, and then I came back here in my late 30s.
Yeah.
So we all spread out. And so to know that you're not alone in the crowd,
Yeah.
like you said, that everybody went to high school together and they all live in the same neighborhood and they've just grown up and their kids have grown up together, that
Yeah.
it's open for new people.
Yeah. It really was just so welcoming. And, I've had some of the same friends for 30 years since I moved here. And we all were brand new mothers that moved here.
Yeah,
So it's been just a really nice community.
that's awesome. Well, if there was one thing we didn't talk about on what is so great about Las Vegas, what did I miss? What did I not
Hmm.
ask? Or if somebody was asking you, Las Vegas is on our list, why should we choose it? What would you tell us?
Well, I guess I would say um, we already talked a little bit about it. Financially, sorry,
That's
I have a
okay.
cold
Oh,
coming back from family
yeah, you came
reunion.
back with the cold.
I came back with the cold flu thing, so it's super great, and I was starting to get coffee. Um, I would just say that, financially right now, it still is an affordable place to live, typically, for the most part. There is a lot of options here. I mean, between the different price points, there are a lot of options to be had. And the family, I mean, it really
Yeah.
is. And that's what I think people really don't understand about Las Vegas is it is really family first, and there are so many community centers, there's so many things that the kids can do. There's so much for family here that I think the average person would not think of
Yeah.
at all, myself included, when I moved here 30 years ago. It's really centralized around family. And it's a good place to live, it's a good place to bring up kids. And the fact that my daughter, when she graduated college, told me, "Hey mom, I'm moving back to Vegas," and we were living in Laguna Niguel, and I was like, "Well, I guess we're moving back to Vegas because that home is where the family is." And
Yeah,
that's where she wanted to go, so that says something.
it does. It does because the kids are the ones that either say, I'm coming back to Vegas or I'm getting the
Yeah.
hell out of here.
Right. Right.
They're the ones, so where can people get in touch with you? How should they reach out to you if they want to talk about Vegas?
Well, they can reach out to me on my phone. I'm one of those agents that actually answers her phone. What? And that's at 702-468-9382. Or they can contact me on my email, which is cmahar@kw.com. And I can always post that. And I also have a website, which is besthomeslv.com. And that
Awesome.
takes you directly out where you can then just start really looking at homes on my website so you can start window shopping and see if it's something for you. I'm here to help.
That's awesome. And yes, we'll put all of your information in all the show notes and in all the places. And, I do these because we as realtors will always say, I know people everywhere. And, and I want people to know that I really do know people everywhere. I don't just
Right?
say that. We travel, we go to conferences because we want to make connections
Yeah.
with these places that people are going. I mean, I think I don't know the last number, but 400 some people a day move to DFW,
Wow.
move to Dallas. And so they're coming from places like Vegas and Omaha and Oklahoma City. And so if you are one of those people that are moving back and forth,
Hmm.
find somebody where you are that knows somebody where you're going.
Yeah. Because it's
That's the
definitely
big thing.
the connection and knowing that this person really will take care of you.
Yes,
It's a big deal. Because
it
I
is
mean,
a big deal.
being
It's bigger
30
than you
years,
think it is.
yeah, and that would be the only other thing I'd bring up. I'm sorry, Robin, to interrupt you, is
Yeah.
that being 30 years in hospitality, that's how I treat my people. Is
Yeah.
they're part of my inner, circle, and I treat them like family. So it's all about hospitality and keeping it all about them. It's not about me, it's about them.
Yeah. And I think that's the important part because these are the people that are making some of the biggest investments in their life
Yep.
and it needs to be about them.
100%.
So, all right. Well, Cheryl, thank you so much for coming on the show today. I just, again, I felt so honored to be included in that group for dinner, and I was so happy that you were there, and I got to know you and the other ladies a little better. So, you're my Vegas realtor, girl.
Well, right back at you, Robin. You're my Dallas girl. And hey, thank you so much for having me. And you know what? I love this. This is fantastic. So thank you again.
Absolutely. And thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of Relax I Got This with the Agent to Agent series. And we're with Cheryl Mahar in Las Vegas. So make sure you hit the subscribe, like, share, all the buttons. And we'll see you next time. Take care.
Bye.
Stop that. There we go.
Awesome. Was that okay?
Yeah, that was perfect. Perfect. That's what I love about doing this. You just start talking
Yeah.
and